Hi everyone, it's Rachel back with the Shades of Orange, and today I'm here to do what I hope will be a really fun video, and that is recommending specific horror books to other booktubers. If you don't know, I really enjoy both getting and giving recommendations, and so whenever I'm reading a book, I'm always thinking about who I would recommend it to, who I think might like it, and so I actually wanted to make it official and really encourage these booktubers to pick up these books. I honestly think they're gonna really like them. I do want to give a disclaimer that it does usually take me at least a week or two to get these videos up, so it's totally possible that by the time I post this that they might surprise me and put up a review of the book I recommended. And I did my research. I went on Goodreads and did the compare the books shelf tag and basically tried to make sure that they hadn't already read it. So it's possible if they didn't record it on Goodreads, etc., that maybe they have read these books, but I don't think so. So don't yell at me if they already have, but I think I'm safe. I think that these are 5 books that they have not yet read. And all that being said, let's get into the books themselves. First, let's talk about Cameron Chaney, who I feel like you guys all pretty much know. He has an amazing collection of horror books, especially Fear Street and Goosebumps. I think we've all watched his bookshelf tours, and he reads and reviews a lot of indie titles as well as a lot of retro books. And he, of course, himself is also an author. I love his writing. I love his channel, his personality. He's just such a genuine person. I've gotten to be on a podcast with him, so getting to talk to him live, he is exactly who he puts himself out to be in his videos. And so I think you all are subscribed to him already, so I really don't need to encourage you to do that. But I really wanted to recommend him a book, and I had a few in mind, but the one I settled on is this one here. That is Midnight Rain by James Newman. This is a book that follows a young 12-year-old who, in the night, he goes and sees something that he shouldn't have, a terrible act of violence. And then afterwards, he has to decide what to do. He, for reasons, is reluctant to go to the police, and so the story follows him the summer after this event as he tries to grapple with what to do and the consequences of his actions as well as his inaction. And this is such an incredible story. This is a coming-of-age story and a very dark one, and I happen to know that Cameron Chaney really likes those kind of stories. This book also deals with a lot of emotional weight, and knowing the books that Cameron reads and also writes, I know that he loves horror with an emotional angle. This one is very light on the horror aspects, like it's not as gruesome as it could be, but it's certainly dark, so I don't want to underplay that. But I know Cameron Chaney's taste, and while he appreciates a good slasher and definitely has fun with those, I think he really enjoys stories that are all about the characters and just getting to the heart and emotions, and he talks about like macabre horror, and I just really, knowing his taste, I think he's gonna like this one. I believe he's read from James Newman before and liked his other books, but according to his Goodreads shelf, I could not find this book on here, so if that's the case, if you have not yet read this book, I highly encourage you to do so, and of course, I want you to report back and tell me what you think about it. I would be shocked if you don't love it as much as I did, because this was one of my favorite books from last year. Next, I want to talk about Jordyn Reads, and she's another fantastic horror booktuber who also reads a lot of thrillers, and she is one that reads a lot of the same books as me, but we don't always see eye to eye on them. We often have very differing opinions, but despite that, we both have so much respect for each other's channels. I love watching her videos, and she tells me the same, which is such an honor, and I love her because she is such a different personality from me too, at least on camera. She is foul-mouthed and just tells it like it is. She is someone who is not afraid to give a negative review, which I very much respect here on Booktube, being just open and honest when it comes to books that just did not work for them. And so I had a few books in mind again for her, but I landed on one which is kind of a wild card. And so the book I want to recommend for her to read is In the Miso Soup, which is a book I recently reviewed on my channel here. But if you missed it, basically this this book is set in Japan and follows a man who works as a tourist guide, but he's a specific kind of tourist guide that takes people from America and other places that want to see the seedy underbelly of Japan. And so he teams up with this man from America, and this man is just not quite right. The things he's saying just does not ring true. And they agree to spend 3 nights together touring all of the sex places in Japan, and things just go terribly, terribly wrong. And this book is so disturbing. Now, this is kind of a different sort of recommendation because if you watch my review, you'll know that I didn't actually love this book. I appreciated a lot about it, but it didn't totally work for me. But that's almost half the reason I want to recommend it to Jordaline, because again, we don't always agree on the books we like. And so the fact that I did not love this book makes me wonder if she would actually like it more than I would. And also, I know that she is always looking to read diversely. That's been a big focus of her channel in the last year. She's been hauling and reading so many books from different countries and authors, and so this is translated from a Japanese author themselves. And so I really hope that she has not read this one yet, because I really would love her to pick it up based off my recommendation. And even if she does not like it, it's going to make for an amazing review. So please go check this one out and report back, Jordaline. I would love to hear your opinions on it. Even if it's a complete bomb, it would be hilarious to watch you read this. Next is Katie from ChapterStackss, who probably needs no introduction here because she pretty much is the original horror booktuber. And I gotta say, she is the one who got me into the community. I remember searching for reviews of Gone Girl, finding her video, and then discovering that booktube was a thing. And I just think that she brings so much great content to the community. I love that she reads a lot of diverse books. She reads a lot of underhyped books, and her tastes and mine are fairly similar. It's definitely not identical, but if she gives a book 5 stars, I really pay attention, and I'm very honored the fact that I know that she's gotten recommendations from my own channel, which definitely has made me fangirl over the years, just because, again, she was a booktuber that I looked up to when I first started. And it's just amazing to see the community grow, and the fact that she's still making videos, I so appreciate. I get so excited whenever she uploads. So I want to recommend a book that is technically on her Goodreads TBR, but it's sitting on her to-read shelf, and in my opinion, it has been sitting there far too long because I really think she's gonna like it. So the book that I want to recommend to her is I'm Thinking of Anythings by Ian Reid, which of course is one of my all-time favorite horror/thriller books about a couple that go on a road trip to meet the boyfriend's family, and the girlfriend is just thinking about ending things, and the story goes from there. This is one that I'm praying that she has not watched the movie on Netflix, because once you know the story, I think it would really change the reading experience. But if she has managed to stay just naive to the plot and just go into this as blindly as possible, I really think she'll enjoy it, because this is a piece of very quiet horror, and that's why I almost want to call it a thriller, because it's very subtle. It's very much in the characters' heads. It's very psychological. I know that she likes things like Bird Box that kind of have similar feels to that. And I also know that she appreciates a good literary book, and this book definitely has amazing writing. It's very thought-provoking and nuanced, and there's so many reasons that I think she'll like it. So again, if she hasn't been spoiled for the book, if she hasn't watched the show on Netflix, I really hope that she picks this one up sooner than later. Again, I would love to hear her opinions on it, and hopefully move that book onto her red shelf on Goodreads. So crossing my fingers that this video will give her that nudge. Next, I want to talk about Marianna from Impression Blend, and technically, yes, she is probably considered more of a horror movie YouTuber, but she also does a lot of YouTube book reviews, and those of course I watch obsessively, and I really like her content and her taste in books because we have a lot of overlap. She likes horror and science fiction, and when they're blended together, both in books and movies. And so whenever she gives a book 5 stars, I immediately put it on my list of things to read. We share a lot of favorites, including I'm Thinking of Anything. I wanted to recommend her Under the Skin by Michelle Faber, but I saw recently in a video that she has read that book too, so I had to cross that one off the list. But I did find a book that I don't believe she has read, and I really think that she's going to enjoy. And that is a new favorite of mine, Tender is the Flesh, which is a translated story set in a dystopian future where people are no longer able to eat animal products and animal meat, so instead the governments allow them to produce what they call special meat, which you find out is them breeding humans for consumption. This book is incredibly dark and disturbing, but I know that she can handle it. This book is also very literary. It has fantastic writing, and I know that those are things that she appreciates. Just like she does in film, in books, she really is looking for quality stories, and I just don't think this one will disappoint. It was a clear 5 stars for me, and I really hope that she will, again, take this as a nudge to pick it up herself. And again, based off of the movie she loves, I really think that this one will have a similar feel. And again, it's disturbing, but in a very subtle, uncomfortable way, and I would just love to see her reaction to it. So definitely hope she picks this one up, and yeah, would love to hear this book talked about in a future wrap-up. Finally, I want to talk about April from Getting Hygge With It, who is a longtime friend, and honestly we don't catch up enough, but she is another Canadian booktuber who reads a whole bunch of genres, including horror, and she, as you probably know because I'm sure you subscribe to her channel, is a very sweet person, and so I think people find it really surprising that she likes some really dark and disturbing books. Again, we do share a fair amount of favorites, including I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which I already talked about in this video. But one of my favorites that she has not read yet, I really want her to put on her TBR and hopefully move it up to the top, and that is The Changeling by Victor LaValle. This follows a man named Apollo who has a wife and a young baby boy, and something horrible happens to his family, and he has to go on almost a fairy tale quest in order to try to save them. This is a book that I try to keep the synopsis really vague, and I just hope that she picks it up based off my recommendation without reading too much more into it. Now, I want to recommend this to April for a few reasons. One being the fact that she's made a concerted effort to read more books by people of color, and of course Victor LaValle gives his experience being a Black man in the US and just incorporates that in a really natural and interesting way into the story. Another reason I want to recommend it is that this book deals a lot with the horrors of parenthood, and as a mother of a young, beautiful, super cute girl herself, I think that April will really connect with the story. This is told more from the father's perspective, but the experience of worrying for your child, trying to do what is best for them, and just, worrying if you're, could do better, or questioning your decisions, I think it's just a very universal experience to being a parent. So I really think that she'll connect with the characters. The writing is fantastic. It's a bit fantastical, and I just have so many reasons that I think she's gonna love it. So please, please, April, pick this one up sooner than later. I would love to see you read this and hopefully end up on your favorites at the end of the year. So let me know what you think. So that's it for this video. I would love to hear your comments down below on what do you think of these pairings. Do you have other books that you would recommend to these booktubers instead? And also, if you are a content creator yourself, if you make booktube videos, I would love to turn this into a tag and have you recommend horror books to other booktubers as well. But my only request is that you please include me as one of your booktubers, because while I love to give recommendations, I also love to get recommendations, and so I think it would be super interesting to hear other people recommend me books that they think that I will love, and I am totally game to try them out this year. Maybe I can turn into a vlog if I get enough different recommendations. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it around online, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a video. If you're new to my channel, consider subscribing. I do read a lot of horror, thrillers, science fiction, and fantasy. Hopefully you found this a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to plan this video and put it all together, and of course I'm going to have links to everyone's channels down below just in case you're not subscribed. I would definitely love to do this again with a whole new group of channels, so if you're interested, you can definitely nominate yourself or nominate a channel that you'd like me to focus on. Thank you for watching. Talk to you soon. Okay, bye-bye.